Welcome to episode 2 of Boys to Men, and today we will be discussing why you should not be a nice guy, but instead be a good guy. So I wanted to start with a personal account that was posted on Cosmopolitan, a magazine that is focused on fashion and entertainment for women. So here's what one of the ladies had to share in the article titled, "When Dating the Nice Guy Goes Wrong." A guy I went on a few dates with kept volunteering that he's not like other guys, not even in response to anything I had said, and talked about how most men are chauvinistic, misogynistic, etc. Should have been the first alarm bell. He also complained about how the issue of sexism at his work came up because he got promoted over a female candidate, and how stupid that was because the panel that promoted him had women on it. I should have run screaming for the hills by this stage. Then, on our last date, I invited him to some drinks my friend was having. Feminism came up as a subject in a conversation he and I were having with two other women there. He pulled up some statistics about women being underpaid and was clearly giving himself a mental pat on the back for his contribution to the conversation. An hour later, after we had left, he then referred to one of the women we were talking to as a cunt for her strong views. I got angry at him for this slur. He said he was joking and shouldn't have to prove what a decent person he is. The next day, he texted me saying he never again will defend his integrity and told me that if I was one of his workmates, he would have just told me to F off. So I start with this story. So as men, we understand why women have their guard up. Now, I'll be the first to tell you I can be an asshole sometimes. I don't always get it right. But as time elapses, I really do try to do the right thing in most situations, understanding that I don't need to tout my feminism or stand up for what's right by posting every cute little infographic that's created for social media. That's one of the few things that I see apparent in a typical nice guy. So let's define what it is. A nice guy is a term in internet discourse describing a man or a teenage boy with a fixation on friendship building into a romance. Most stereotypically by providing a woman with emotional support when she's having difficulties with another male partner. Nice guys typically believe the following. 1, they are victims of women's irrationality or cruelty, and that women say they want nice guys, but in fact prefer to have a relationship with jerks or alpha males, with the would-be suitor considering themselves to be in the friend zone, a romantic limbo of sorts. 2, that the nice guy strategy is doing things for someone so that she will have sex with me, want to be in a relationship with me, etc. Right? So the nice guy strategy is usually that there's an ulterior motive at play. So here are 3 critiques of the quote unquote nice guy syndrome. Romantically and sexually fixating on one person before they express any romantic interest in you is simply a relationship mistake to which many people are prone to making and may improve with time, experience, or self-examination. Gentlemen, just because someone is respectful and you're proclaiming of sexual attraction does not mean there's mutual feelings there. You may be in a headspace to date or be committed, but that doesn't mean the other person shares the same sentiment. So when you're approaching someone or in the early dating stage, you need to ask yourself, do my expectations of the person and fantasy of that person match up with the reality that is unfolding? That's critique number 1. Critique number 2, nice guys seem to regard a relationship with a woman as successful or valuable only if it is romantic or sexual in nature, i.e. friendship is failure. Again, guys, you are limiting your perspective if you only have male friends. We, as men, are idiots when we are together. And sometimes we need the voice of reason, especially from our female friends, to tell us, hey, you're being an idiot. Now, quick side note, I don't think you should have a best friend of the opposite sex, but we'll explore that topic in another episode. If your only desire to interact with women or men, if that's who you're attracted to, is sexually motivated, you really need to reevaluate your life. Romantic relationships are one of the best joys life has to offer, but it is not everything and should not consume you, which is a great segue into the last criticism. Nice guys may view a relationship with a woman as the only possible source of their happiness. If you want to have an amazing significant other, as most of us do, it's not going to happen by dedicating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week looking for that person, right? You come across as desperate if you do that. I was talking to one of my friends, and she'll remain anonymous, about why the nice guy is so unattractive. And she told me, Alex, it's the lack of boundaries the person has for themselves. If you're going above and beyond for someone who doesn't or hasn't matched your energy, that's communicating to the world you don't know where your boundaries are. Ergo, you can be easily manipulated and walked over. And nobody wants to date somebody who's a doormat. So we defined the nice guy, the critiques of the nice guy, and the potential pitfalls of having that mindset. So what about a good guy? Now, I am not a cynic. I don't feed into the narrative that all men are trash or even a majority of men are trash. I believe most men try and want to be good men, even if they stumble along that path from time to time. Being a good guy doesn't mean perfection. It also doesn't mean you can't be courteous or polite in your interactions. What it does mean is that you are willing to sacrifice being nice for doing what is right. You are willing to stand up for the people you love, for causes you believe in, and most importantly, stand up for yourself. The superheroes that we idolize in Marvel movies, which symbolize the natural archetypes we are drawn to as humans, show the hero in a light where he or she strives valiantly towards a powerful mission, and they do not care if they offend the public, break laws, or go against the norm in order to pursue what is right. Be good, don't be nice. Going back to the downside of being a nice guy in the dating world, the research shows this. According to the Pew Research Center, which, if you don't know, is probably the most credible research institution in the United States, stated in a survey the 5 most attractive traits in men are honesty, professional success, ambition, toughness, and hard work. This is perhaps the most important point I'm trying to make on this episode and in the general philosophy of this podcast. Start with yourself. You should be focused on building yourself up. This extends beyond attracting romantic partners. You start attracting better people in your life when you prioritize yourself and dedicate time and energy into projects that you are passionate about. If you want to have an amazing mentor, you don't find them by looking out and reaching out to everybody. That person often finds you because they see that you are somebody worth mentoring. The same could be said for business partnerships. People want to know, what do you bring to the table, right? Actually ask yourself that. What do I bring to the table? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean tangible things like a house or owning your own company. If you're listening, you're probably on the younger side and still in the building stages, like me, and setting up the stones for your life. But what values do you bring? What characteristics do you bring? Are you someone who is a go-getter, who doesn't stop at the first sign of criticism? Do you have a 5-year plan, a 1-year plan, a 3-month plan? How are you setting yourself up for the future? These are questions that will not only fill up your time and allow you to have a better future, but will also attract better people into your life. Better mentors, better partners, better friends, better business partners, all of that. So to recap, when you're a nice guy, you are often focused on pleasing others to the point it becomes costly to your own well-being. When you're a good guy, you are driven by your moral compass and grounded in your values. You are not subject to your environment. You dictate your environment. As humans, we have a natural desire to help others. And more specifically, as men, we have a natural desire to protect our tribes. So, be a good guy. Look out for your friends. Look out for the people you love. Don't expect something in return for being nice. And do the right thing whenever possible. That concludes this episode of Boys to Men. I hope you gained some value. And again, the only payment I require is sharing this podcast with just one person. Tune in next week where we discuss the fact that you are the CEO and janitor of your life. I'm your host, Alex Salazar. And as always, start with yourself and then try to help others.